right, welcome to another edition of Simple Talks Coffee Chat. I'm Steve Jones. I'm hosting, well, this edition. I don't know if I'll do more, but I'm doing this one for now. And with me today, I've got somebody from Redgate. I've got Tom Hodgson. Tom, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So I run SQL Server Central. I've been at Redgate 17 and a half years when we're recording this. How about you? What do you do? How did you get here?
I lead what we call the Foundry, which is Redgate's R&D division. And what we've found over time at a company like Redgate, where you have perhaps between 100 and 200 engineers and technical-minded people, that they're all coming up with great ideas all the time. And you've got to choose which ones you're going to invest and throw your money in. And you can't do them all because you end up with this sea of innovation. And if you pick the wrong one, you can spend a lot of money and throw all of Redgate behind it. So we have quite a small specialised team that work sometimes like a startup, sometimes like a consultancy.
Okay.
But whatever we do, we try to be really close to our users. And we try to get feedback, and we try to show to Redgate this is a valuable thing because we've seen lots of users try it. So we're not here to sell you a dream based on a vision. Here's the evidence of people loving this.
So kind of practical research, right? Not just wild research.
That's right.
Yeah. So this isn't the first thing you've done at Redgate, because you've been here a while.
I've been at Redgate for a while, yeah. I was a software engineer 15 years ago-ish. I came a little bit after you. But when people ask, I say 15 years, but it must not be exactly. It must be like 13 or 14. But I have been away in between, and I've worked at lots of startups. So I've been the first developer at different startups as well. Failed a few of my own miserably, but I've always been in and around startups, and that's how I like me and my teams to work.
What products did you work on when you were here before?
Back in the day, we did SQL source control for a little bit.
Okay.
And deployment manager. If you
okay, yeah, I remember deployment manager.
DLM dashboard.
Okay.
So all sorts of things that we were spinning up out of the ground, and then from then on, it's been in the innovation team. So that's been around for 10 years, and we were the first cut when we first spun up this version. Redgate's always had some level of innovation teams. It's had different names, and its current guys has been around 10 years, and we were the first version.
Yeah, because I remember working a lot with the Foundry on the Spawn thing, you know, when we had some other people, and I was really sad when those guys left, and I've been wondering about the Foundry, but the last year or so, you and I have chatted a few times, you guys are doing some cool stuff. So what's going on in the Foundry now? Like, what's the focus? So
at the moment, like a lot of companies, no prizes for guessing, it's mainly AI.
Yes.
It's not completely AI, and because we try to sort of fail fast. You know, we'll pick things up and we'll look at them for a few months, and we don't want to commit to one thing every one. So we're still doing lots of little research experiments on just to pick one out the air. The sort of analytics space is something that we're interested in. But on the whole, 90% of our time for the past sort of year and maybe 2 years, has been AI across different projects.
And so how many people on the team here at Redgate and Foundry?
At the moment, about 8.
About 8, okay, so bigger than I thought.
But that's not just engineers. We have a couple of ML engineers, which are very specific to sort of machine learning.
Right.
We have 3 software engineers, and then designers and product people.
So how well does AI work? Like, what are you doing that's interesting, that's useful?
Yeah. So I think that, like all companies, we're figuring that out. Okay. So what we find with AI, and this is both in products we try and pilot on our staff, the products we build that we ship to people, and when we talk to other companies, for example, Microsoft. Okay. We always find the same thing, and it's that there's a good chunk of people, the majority, who don't embrace AI.
Yes.
I would say now it's not as bad as it was. I would say it's still the majority, but it's getting closer to 50%.
Okay.
But there's a very long tail of people who use it a lot.
Right.
So when you find the people who do embrace it, they use it heavily, or at least some of the people do. There's obviously a middle ground of the people who use it a bit. And what we're trying to discover is how to take that value and ship it to our customers, because there's lots of space for innovation with AI at Redgate, but in the Foundry we focus specifically on our products.
Right.
So we're not trying to make our own internal processes more efficient. We're just focusing on the products that we ship to people.
So I know you've done some stuff with Monitor. I know you've looked at other stuff. So let me ask you this: the in monitor we shipped not too long ago the way for some dynamic alerting with ML, right?
Yeah.
Which is a subset of AI, but trying to say it's hard to pick a specific threshold, but if we can look at what's been happening over the last day, week, month, whatever, maybe we adjust that threshold so it's less noisy. Was that your team?
No,
No.
but we were involved. So as Redgate hired 4 ML engineers
Right.
when that piece of work started, and we collaborated. And there's 2 in Foundry working on our projects, and there was 1 embedded on each of these teams to help. So there was good collaboration across those teams. So we are using ML to do traditional things like anomaly detection. Some of the really cool stuff that we're doing now is things like detecting spikes and detecting steps. So if you're in monitor, you may want to know when did this query start? Whoa, this query is slow. When did this happen?
Yes.
And so being able to answer those questions through like an AI chat is difficult because you can't just throw the last 3 years CPU metric data bit that's been sampled every few milliseconds as a big array of numbers into ChatGPT and expect to get the answer back. So we have this sort of middle layer where the ML team do some translation of that number. So they might translate all this numerical data into a step at this time, a steady growth at this time, and a plateau here.
So you're doing some data analysis to try to decide if it's an anomaly or not an anomaly?
Yeah. So that's digestible by an AI.
Right.
An AI can take the last sort of 10 significant changes and things over the past and start answering these really valuable questions. So one of the use cases I'm really obsessed with at the moment is I want to look at my SQL Server. I want to find all the spikes over the last few months, find the queries associated with them, optimize them, and now I can reduce the number of cores and my licensing costs on those SQL servers.
And so are you doing that as a user that has to ask a question, or is it just something that might run and just periodically tell?
Exactly. So the initial thing we did 2 years ago was, just give all our users a chatbot. They'll know what to ask. They'll be able to ask it these sort of things. But what happens is, these are exact words from a user call, is you put the thing in front of them and someone said, I feel like a deer in the headlights. I don't know what to type. And so we kind of pivot in a way, and this is how Foundry works. We ship something that's quite rough, quite quickly, and we see what our users do with it, and we make the decisions to iterate. And so what we're running towards now is we refer to this thing as Redgate runbooks. And this is a list of predefined processes that you can run that we think are good, and you can do this. And one of them is an example of this. So you don't have to talk to it. You can click this through, and it will run through those steps in a chat sort of thing so you can interact. And then the key thing and the amazing thing is you can customize this. So you get this runbook, which is just like you would see in a doc site, a documentation thing that tells you how to do something. You can sort of put in the bottom something, I don't know, we must absolutely not kill my CTO's session because he gets really mad with me. So no matter how much that's blocking the database, let that run. And so we have that personalization and that customization, but we're not fully chatbot. So we're trying to find that happy medium where our DBA audience, in this case, get the repeatability and the reliability, and it's not a chatbot, but also you have that customization.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that so? Is that kind of a guided prompt type of thing? It's not really agentic, right? It's more of.
So you get essentially a plan. Think bulleted numbers. These are what we're going to do in this order, and you can change it. You can add to it, or you can just run it through. And it is agentic because this thing calls out to tools. So it might read from your PagerDuty file, which gives you an alert. That might be the thing that instantiates it. Or it might be an email from your team saying, we're having a new starter, please add this user to the database and give them all the right permissions. There's lots of different things that can trigger which runbook we recommend you run. And you can, of course, personalize. You can take the Redgate ones, which we'll ship, and this is a great starting point, and you can just tweak it and customize it to your setup.
But it's not coding, right? It's natural language, chat, interaction.
Exactly right, yeah.
Which is kind of, I think, the power of the AI, the Gen AI stuff, right? That it lacks some of the rigidity of having to write code in PowerShell or Python or whatever. Instead, I can kind of just say, hey, change this slightly, and it will produce, I guess, the code that eventually runs the stuff.
Yeah, and then the really fun bit for that specific example is DBAs don't want things that are unpredictable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but what they're kind of used to is running things on the staging environment, running things on here, and eventually you just see that it's the same thing over and over and over.
Is that the most important thing you've learned?
I didn't learn that. I've learned that for many years. I think it was the day I met you.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, we tried to have that free text representation, which is not rigid,
Right.
not loose, but still give you that reliability. And you can do that with the tool calls. It's because the agentic AI runs these tools, run this SQL, this command using this SQL command to execute.
Right.
And so if you can sort of make sure that you do these commands in order with the right arguments, and if you can't, you bail out. But it's still okay to do a bit of intelligent processing. Perhaps you get an unusual error that you know is going to be resolved. You can just let the AI figure that out as long as those tool calls are in order.
Oh, interesting.
So we're learning all those. It may be different in a few months' time when we learn more, but we believe that this is the way to do it.
And so when you're implementing this now, I know you've got some sort of little database. Is that a RAG type thing so that it's learning across time, so it's more customized? Or how would you describe that?
So agents have pretty much replaced RAG.
Okay.
We use RAG for search. Okay, it's a nice way of setting up. So we have a combination of RAG because it gives you the semantic search, this thing's similar, and keyword search. And if you combine those two, you get quite a decent search functionality.
But it has some memory so that if I change the runbook slightly and then you were to use it, it would remember what I had done.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you change your runbook, you update those embeddings, and when you search for it, you can find it. And my favorite demo for doing this is. I kill again. I'm fixating on the block session thing again because it's funny demos. But I sort of have this story that Tom, the cowboy's blocking all the sessions again, like he always is. And so we end the session and we memorize that and capture the runbook. And the next time we come on, all I have to do is say the cowboy's at it again.
There we go.
It just starts churning through this thing, and it kind of knows. And that's the semantic search. And
I should have brought my hat for you today.
Again.
So let me ask this, is there a place that people could see a demo live? Do we have anything recorded, or can we try it?
So this is the thing. You need to reach out to Redgate.
Okay.
Because the way Foundry works is we don't invest in things before we know they're a thing.
Right.
So now we have a very select user group. And it's the only reason it's selected is because if you want to be part of this user group, you have to agree to talk to us.
Right.
Because what we found in the past, if you ship software to 100 people and 5 of them are using it and the rest aren't, you can't find out why.
Yes.
They don't tell you. You
know.
can see what they're doing and you can monitor it, but often there's not much difference between the people who don't and the people who do.
Right.
So the deal is, we're not selling anything. You get these great tools for free.
Right.
But the deal is, you have to tell us about it. And all we want is to you to come in a Teams chat with us and complain all day long.
There you go.
So those customers that are always nagging for the next feature and the next feature. Now this is great. I want this.
Right.
Yeah, we want those. We want you to come and talk to us, and we'll just work as a consultancy. We'll just make your life better. And if we can do that for 5 people with something that's similar, then we know we're on a winner. If we can't do it for 5 people who are talking to us and telling us exactly what we want, we can't scale out to thousands.
Right.
So we end the project there.
And is it foundry.redgate.com?
Yes.
That's the place.
So Foundry.
So that's where they can read about what you do, and that's how they get in touch with you.
Yeah.
All right. So let me switch just slightly, because you mentioned something earlier I thought was interesting. A lot of people have said when they go to work with AI, it does feel like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do, right? And I don't know about you, but when I go to a lot of the AI places, like I use Claude and Perplexity a lot, it just says, what do you want to do? And then the examples are like, plan a trip, cook a meal, something. I'm like, I would never, like that's silly, right? So how do you get past that? Like, did you feel that way, like deer in the headlights at first? You're deer in the headlights now.
I think for me personally, I didn't believe that it would do what I wanted.
Okay.
And I kind of didn't use it for those reasons. And then the more you use it, you think, actually, it's pretty good at some of this. Because I'm an engineer, so the primary thing I test it with is, can it generate code?
Right.
And there's an element of, I don't want this to be able to do this, right? And we see that especially in SQL Prompt. So Prompt Plus is the AI, our first version of the AI tool that we're shipping, Prompt Plus. And the average Prompt Plus user has 10 years of writing SQL.
Yes.
And this is their thing that they're good at, and the worth that they offer to the business, and the thing that they love coming to work for and doing. And so when we start doing that for them, some people embrace it, but others are like, nah, this is a
lot of people are
thing.
like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we kind of made a decision in the next tools, we'd automate away things that people don't want to do.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so if you got that list on that website of things, and it was all things that you knew you had to do but you didn't want to do, you might be more inclined to click them. I don't know.
No, I think that's a great example, because I think as I've played with AI, I felt the same way. Like, I didn't really want it to write code. And I find that whether I use Prompt Plus or I've used another Gen AI and I try to force it to write certain code, it's not helpful, it's slower. But if I just go, hey, do something. Like, I need to generate some test data today. And the quickest thing was I had mocked a table for somebody here at Redgate that had a problem. And they had PII data, and I didn't want to try to clean that data. I just said, hey, here's a table, generate me some rows of data with this constraint and that constraint. And in a minute, I had 100 rows of data. I was like, wow, that task probably would have taken me half an hour. Mm-hmm. And it took me a couple minutes to think about it, a couple minutes to build a table, and then in less than 10 minutes, I was done.
Yeah. So I'm a software engineer who's been working full time on AI since the day it broke, since the day GPT was announced. I've only embraced it fully to write my software, I would say 2 or 3 months ago. Probably a little bit more now. So now I'm maybe let's say 6 months. That's probably a bit too far. It's probably somewhere between 6 and 3. I use Cursor now.
Okay.
And I ain't going back.
Really?
Like, I cannot, when the models in Cursor are acting up and are slow, I cannot work. The moment it popped up, you've gone over your free limit, I was putting my credit card in. Right? And now I have no alternative to work through that way now.
Wow.
I don't think it lowers the bar to entry. I think it, if anything, it raises it, because to use it, if you just give any engineer Cursor, they're going to go like lightning for a month.
Okay.
But then it's going to get hard.
Yes.
And as people, if there are multiple people doing the same thing, you're going to sort of snowball into this mess where you've just got heaps and heaps of generated code.
Right.
If you take your time with it and you work as if you were sending a junior engineer off to do a task, and when it comes back, you code review it. Sometimes you say that's fine. Sometimes you say we need a complete different approach, and sometimes you just say very explicitly, change this to this.
Yep.
So I've done some really big projects with Cursor in a short amount of time, but every line of code is exactly as if I was written it. With some exceptions around like the UI, which if I have a file that nothing depends on, I know I can write a new one in 20 seconds now. I don't need to give that the same care and attention.
Yes.
If it's a core thing that all my files depend on in the middle, that one needs to be done so I know how to change it and work on it. And so in the Sharks and Foundry at the moment, we're all on Cursor now.
Okay.
There's some people we do use the agent version of VS Code, but once you've really gone with Cursor,
you like it? Is Cursor is that Gemini? Is that what they're using?
You can choose the model.
You choose the model you use.
Models,
okay.
Yeah, but it's very similar to Redgate Assistant and the thing that we're working on in Foundry.
Right.
In the chat panel, you sort of do something. It tells you what it's doing, changes the files.
Okay.
So you don't really do much other than go for a coffee and come back, and it's done. And there's loads of little weird things that make it really nice.
Right.
So, for example, when you suggest, it does some code, and you're like, I think we should do it a bit differently. It's like, yeah, great idea. And you're like, oh, this thing loves me.
Yeah.
Like this is like it's my pal. And that's we haven't got to anywhere near where we need to get with that level of thing. I'm an engineer, I can't cope with that.
Right.
We talked to this company at a conference, and they were doing a Copilot like chatbot for people who write movie scripts.
Okay.
First version, ChatGPT, no one used it.
Yep.
Second version, they just gave it an accent and a voice and
really?
a personality. And it was massively improved usage.
That's
so
amazing.
we probably will be putting your voice and you and Grant.
You'll hear Steve talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have you and Grant arguing with each other in your things. And Kellen's here, of course.
That's fantastic.
She'll have to be involved as well.
Have you tried any other tools besides Cursor? Or did
No.
You just tried it and it's great?
That's very rare for people in Foundry. We probably waste too much time trying every possible thing because we have to. I've gone back to agentic VS Code a couple of times and gone straight back to Cursor. We've got Windsurf is it on the list, and there's always one, right? We've got one guy on our team who uses Vim, and he has his Vim agent like wrapped up, which is the same thing but in some weird console thing that no one understands. Like, and we bully him about it and we try and get him over, but I don't think. I'm sure the reason I love Cursor is because I've got used to it.
Right.
And it's become, I know how it reacts. And I'm sure that the others, and for example, there's the Claude Code and ChatGPT have it there in like a command liney thing. So I assume the reason the Claude Code is in a command liney thing is so you can integrate it with a build server.
Yeah, you can send it off to do more stuff, I think. Yeah, that's interesting. Like I've lightly used the VS Code and it helps me with stuff. I haven't done the agentic thing so much. I actually have Windsurf downloaded. I have not installed it to try it. Yeah. Because of time.
Yeah.
But I may have to give Cursor a try. All right, what model has worked best for you?
So like I'm very much a believer now that the models are
similar.
What's the word I'm looking for? When commodities.
Okay.
So there's a few things to mention. First of all, they're really good now.
Yeah.
Like the cheap Gemini is exceptionally good. It's good enough for everything I need. I don't need that to get better. It's very rare that I go to, say, ChatGPT 03 or the expensive Gemini.
So you don't have the high subscription, right? If you just
I do have them.
Yeah.
I just don't use them that often. There's the odd really complicated coding task that I throw at them. But it's rare these days. In the last sort of, I would say, a couple of months that I leave that cheap Gemini version. That's my go-to when I just want a quick question.
Right.
Within the tools, you be a bit more selective. So, for example, if you want to choose which agent tool to call, you can use a different model if you're choosing to write some code. But you know, if you can choose the right model to do a small task and do it quickly, and that's another thing Cursor's good at. You bang it on auto mode, and it chooses which model to fire off, and sometimes it sends off to a premium big one, and sometimes it just runs it through the small ones.
Because I know the free ones, well, at least what I've said for people is that as people have written, the free one is pretty good, but not great for coding. Kind of those mid-level ones normally work all the time. So the 4.5 GPT or is it Claude Sonnet maybe?
Yeah.
But then the high-level ones are like, they don't use them as much. They can be really good, but they are very slow.
Yeah. They're improving all the time. Like O3, and that level model, they can. I guarantee they can do more than anyone watching this expects them to be able to do.
Yeah.
And even me, you just read things that like.
It's incredible sometimes, right?
They're just getting better in the background.
But
we will reach a point where, for the work you do, the model's good enough. And for most of the stuff I do, that's there with that level of sort of Gemini 2.5. It's the Flash version, which is quick. And it's very rare these days that I go and you can bump it up to the Pro version,
right?
Or go to O3. O3 would be if I really wanted.
That's a really high-end Gemini.
Sorry, the block of that is I've got to leave GPT and open another tab and go to ChatGPT. So leave Gemini and go to ChatGPT, and that's a huge amount of work. And then you get you run it in there. I did use Claude a lot at the start.
Right.
But what I found at that level, when I had all three on the go, I had Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude were my three. If I ever needed to go from one to the other, the three of them didn't generally solve it. So it didn't really, I couldn't really distinguish. And this is just my personal experience. So it was very rare that one would be a standout winner. This was, I would say, a year ago. And now all of the models have sort of progressed enough that on the whole, that any of them would have done.
Yeah.
Because I'm an Android Google guy, I tend to stick with Gemini and only.
Yeah, I've tended to use Perplexity, Claude, and then I vary with DeepSeek sometimes,
right.
Or Copilot, because it's integrated into some of the stuff I do. But I see Claude and Perplexity, like I think about halftime, they're very, very close. And then halftime, they attack things differently. And I'm like, it's really fascinating. It's almost like asking a different person, a different engineer to do something. Like, I get a different view of it sometimes, so.
And I guess if you, the flip side is that sometimes all three models generate the exact same code.
Yeah, right. Which
like
is,
the exact same. And so
yeah, that's interesting. All right. So I know we've been talking a while. I don't want to take up all your day because I know you have code to go watch Cursor, right? But let me just ask you, like, if you were to recommend something to DBAs or others out there, how would they get started? Like, you've talked to them, give them something easy to get going.
Yeah. So the key is to persist with it.
Okay.
We see over and over again, people have this barrier to entry. When we shipped Prompt Plus, which is our, it's in SSMS, AI autocomplete tool, sort of text chat based. We saw very obvious bugs that would make it bad. Because that's the way we work. We ship early and we just iterate and iterate and iterate. And we saw things that clearly meant the SQL that was being generated wasn't good in some situations. And we'd fix those bugs and the usage data wouldn't change. So we were dramatically improving the tool and it didn't change. We went from the very first GPT-3 through 3.5, through 3.5 Turbo to 4. Think how much better GPT-4 models are compared to that very first 3. No change to the usage data.
Oh, it's interesting.
And the reason is because it's that barrier to entry. There's a certain percentage of amount of people who are going to embrace it and do it. And there's a certain percentage of people who are happy with the way they work. And the key is to break that barrier. Because you can still do the things you love, but you're changing from a creator mindset to a reviewer mindset. So you're changing from, I write this code, for example, if it's code, but whatever content you're creating, to I review it.
Right.
And and the problem with not embracing that is that other people are gonna. And the tools are getting better, they're becoming more personalized, they're becoming more fun. But ultimately, like I worry for people who in 2 years' time have never used
an AI tool,
so GPT. And we see that even in some of our developers at Redgate. There's a very small number of developers at Redgate who are not using it. And I just think like their job interviews in 2 years' time are going to be very interesting.
Yes.
And so the key here is to embrace it and use it and find out what it's good at. It's a tool that you've got to learn how to use.
And you have to keep trying, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I use it more and more, and I often set on a task, and then I'll just move on to something else, and I'll come back. And if it's messed it up, I may try to get it to correct it, but if it hasn't, sometimes I'll just do the work, right? But I just keep trying to see what works well.
There are some spectacular failures, right?
Yes.
And the workflows have to involve that. So if you start saying do this, and you can see in that first as it starts streaming the content, that's not what I expected. Stop it, rewrite it, go again.
Yes.
That's learning to use these tools. So there's two types of people. One is you kick it off with your task. You've got you can hear your kettle boiling. You're going to go. You say, write this functionality while I'm gone, and starts kicking off. You can either learn to, oh no, that's not quite right, let's use the tool properly, or you can say, well, that's wrong. I'm going to go back to doing it myself. And there are times when you have to go back to do it yourself because there's something you can't do. But you've got to come back. You've got to have another go. You've got to learn how to use that tool. No one wrote code in an IDE the first time brilliantly, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going back to Notepad and I'm just going to hit Control S, save the website. I'll quickly load. Yeah, it works. I'm good. No one was doing keyboard shortcuts and being great the first time they picked up the IDE. You've got to learn how to use your tools, and this is no different. It's just for some people especially, a new bigger barrier that's in some ways scary and different. But it's not scary.
It is the deer in the headlights. You're a little intimidated for a lot of reasons, but it shouldn't be scared. I agree with you. That's great. All right. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing chat. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Steve.
Hopefully you've all enjoyed this. If you've got questions for us, let us know. And check out foundry.redgate.com and see the cool stuff Tom and his team are working on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.